You are sitting in his car outside your apartment, and the engine is off, and neither of you is moving. He said something 20 minutes ago, something small, something that would have rolled off anyone else's back. But you caught it. You always catch it. The slight hesitation before he answered. The way his eyes went somewhere else when you reached for his hand. The way he said, "I don't know," about something you've been waiting weeks to know. And now you're here, quiet, smiling a little, telling yourself it's fine, telling yourself you're probably reading into it, telling yourself that if you just give him more time, more space, more patience, more warmth, he will eventually open. You have been here before. Not this car, not this man, but this exact feeling, this waiting, this hoping, this low familiar hum of almost. And the strangest part, some part of you already knew, before the first date, maybe even before the first conversation, that this was how it would go. There is a specific kind of woman who is drawn to emotionally unavailable people. And she is not naive. She is not desperate. She is not broken in the way the world might assume. She is, in fact, one of the most perceptive women in any room she walks into. She reads people the way other people read weather. She feels the shift in someone's energy before they know the shift has happened. She notices who is carrying something heavy, who is performing fine, who has built a wall and painted it to look like confidence. And when she encounters someone who is closed off, guarded, unavailable, difficult to reach, something in her doesn't walk away. Something in her leans in. She sees the person underneath the walls. She sees who he could be, who he almost is, what he would look like if he felt safe enough to let her in. She makes herself easy. She makes herself soft. She is patient in a way she has never been asked to be. She gives him space when space is what he says he needs. She pulls back when pulling back is what doesn't scare him. She reshapes herself, gently, unconsciously, into whatever causes the least amount of friction. She texts first, then stops herself. She plans something and then checks if he still wants to go. She monitors the temperature of every interaction, and the moments when he does open, even slightly, those moments feel like everything. Not because she is starved, but because she has been waiting for them so long. If you have ever recognized yourself in this, in the waiting, the adjusting, the feeling of almost, drop a 1 in the comments. You'd be surprised how many women are reading this right now, thinking the exact same thing. What this woman is experiencing has a name, and understanding it doesn't mean there is something wrong with her. Psychologists call it anxious-avoidant attachment pairing, one of the most documented and consistent patterns in the research on adult romantic relationships. Attachment theory, first developed by John Bowlby and expanded by researchers Cindy Hazan and Philip Shaver in their 1987 study, describes the internal models we build in childhood for how love works. Those models don't disappear when we become adults. They run quietly in the background, shaping who we find familiar, who we find safe, who we find electrifying. The woman who consistently attracts emotionally unavailable partners almost always has an anxious attachment style, meaning her nervous system was wired early to associate love with inconsistency, with effort. Her brain didn't learn that love is steady and available. Her brain learned that love requires pursuit, that love is earned. That love is the thing on the other side of the work of getting someone to finally stay. So when she encounters someone emotionally available, steady, consistent, communicative, genuinely present, her nervous system does something unexpected. It doesn't feel like love. It feels like flatness. But when she encounters someone unavailable, someone who is warm sometimes and distant others, her nervous system lights up. Not because she is attracted to pain, because her nervous system recognizes this. It feels like home. And the brain, always seeking the familiar, calls the familiar, love. Think back, not to your relationships, but further back than that. Think back to the first person you ever loved whose love felt like something you had to work for. For some of you, it was a parent who was warm and wonderful on certain days, and then somewhere else entirely on others. A parent whose approval felt like weather, sunshine, then clouds. You learned to read them. You learned to anticipate. You learned to adjust yourself in advance of the storm, to make yourself easier, quieter, less of a bother. Because if you got it right, if you read the room correctly, the warmth came back. You became extraordinary at reading rooms, at sensing people, at knowing what someone needed before they knew they needed it. For others, the lesson came differently. Maybe love in your home was conditional in a quieter way, earned by being good, by being helpful, by not asking too much. And here's the thing about lessons learned in childhood. They don't sound like lessons. They sound like truth. They sound like, this is how love works. Over time, without you deciding it, that became your baseline. That became what felt real, what felt like connection, what felt like the particular electricity of something that matters. You weren't looking for unavailable people. You were looking for love in the form your nervous system had memorized it. But here's the part I want to be honest with you about. The chasing, the adjusting, the patience, the reading of rooms, it costs you something. It costs you yourself. Because while you are working to reach him, you are not being fully you. You are being the version of you that is palatable to someone who cannot yet hold the full weight of you. And somewhere in the middle of all that adjusting, you stop noticing what you actually feel, what you actually need, whether you are happy, whether this is good. That is the real cost, not the heartbreak at the end, the disappearing in the middle. But I want you to hold something alongside that truth. The sensitivity you bring to relationships, the ability to read people, to feel beneath the surface, that is not a flaw. That is a profound capacity. The problem was never the depth of what you feel. The problem was where it was being poured. You were given an extraordinary gift for connection, and somewhere along the way, you learned to spend it on people who hadn't yet learned to receive it. The work is not to love less. It is to learn slowly and with patience for yourself that steadiness is allowed to feel like love. That someone who simply shows up consistently without keeping score, that is not boring, that is safe. And safe, for a nervous system like yours, takes time to trust. Drop an 8 in the comments if this is the first time someone has put words to this for you. You are not addicted to pain. You were loyal to a feeling you had learned to call love, and you are allowed to learn it differently now. Think about the first time you remember working to keep someone's love. How old were you? And did anyone, even once, notice what you were doing to hold it together? Leave it in the comments. You don't have to explain. Even just the age. Even just a single word. If this stayed with you, our next video goes even deeper. The psychology of women who grew up watching their mother struggle. Watch it next.